to the 5-day meditation challenge, inviting you to explore the practice of meditation to see how it might benefit you in your life. My name's Lynn Curry, and I direct the McNair Scholars Program at Central Michigan University. I've been doing that for over 15 years. It's a federal grant through the U.S. Department of Education. We work with undergraduate students, primarily low-income first-generation college students, underrepresented students, and prepare them for graduate school, specifically oriented toward research and the PhD. And so part of what I have evolved in doing through the years is not only supporting our students in academics, which is really important, but also in their well-being. And so having conversations about best practices, key habits, ways that we can support ourselves so that we can feel our best, so that we can do our best work, right? We're under so much stress and pressure, especially as busy students, and wanting to find more ways to support our students led me to becoming certified to teach meditation, which I did last spring. And so I feel very deeply that learning how to meditate is one of the most important skills that we can learn by helping train our minds to better focus. And let me just say this, that I do want to make mention that meditation is not for everyone, and especially for people who have trauma, have dealt with trauma in their past or are currently dealing with trauma, there are ways that we can modify meditation so that it is more safe. And there's a whole area of study called trauma-sensitive mindfulness that I encourage you to explore. We won't be going into detail on that through our time together here, but I just want to put that note out there that we just always want to make sure that with any sort of exercise or practice that we are exploring, that we keep ourselves safe. So if you have any of those things that you're dealing with, meditation can still be potentially helpful, but we just want to make sure that you're staying in your zone of comfort with that. And so let's just get started. The first day of our challenge here is meant to simply introduce the idea of meditation, what it is, what it isn't, how it might benefit you, and we are going to go ahead and learn the basic technique that I will be sharing with us, which is a very simple focus on the breath, and we are going to sit together in meditation for 1 minute today, so I'm really looking forward to that. But let's start off by talking about this. High levels of stress. How many of you feel like at least part of your day you feel stressed, right? I think that most of us feel stressed a lot of the time, right? And then let's couple in this whole notion of just feeling, besides feeling pulled in so many different directions and like having so many different commitments and priorities and I need to do all these things, that we have all of these distractions, right? I mean, let's talk about just our phones as one example, but right, you're just trying to like put all of this in, together, all of the things that we're trying to do, certainly as busy students, and trying to balance, doing well with your academics and still having a life. And I just feel like it leads to a lot of stress, especially just witnessing this personally with my students. And so when we talk about meditation, I think what it can bring us is a better ability to focus, right? And to continue to bring ourselves back to our own center, right? So that we actually can make a choice, right? So instead of like feeling like we're just always like reacting and combating against all of these things that we have going on in our daily life, we can simply, from a place of choosing, from our place of centeredness, right? We can actually pause and then choose how we're going to respond rather than just reacting all the time. So for me, and I'm by no means a huge expert, but I have been consistent in my practice now since really the summer of 2000, is it 15, 16? I think I'm already getting mixed up, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, for about 3 years, I've been very consistent. And then especially I've sort of elevated my own practice since becoming certified to teach meditation last spring. And so for me, I just feel, it's what's interesting, and this is one of the things that I really would like to invite us to do, is to approach this from sort of the spirit of experimentation, right? So let's just see, right? Let's just do a little bit of meditation. Let's do it on a regular basis and kind of see where it might go. And when I do that with my own self, I just, these little things that I start to notice bubble up, I'm like, oh, I wonder, I think that's probably from, stemming from my meditation practice. So it's just really interesting. So, but this is what I'd like to invite us to explore. And so, in essence, meditation is simply substituting our discursive mind for another object of attention, right? So when we talk about our discursive minds, we simply mean that ticker tape, right? That ticker tape of thoughts. It's always going through our minds, right? This and that. Sometimes these thoughts are not too nice either, right? We can beat ourselves up, we can have self-doubt, we can have worry, we can have anxiety, all of these things, right? So in meditation, the practice is simply substituting our discursive mind for another object of attention. And there are tons of different kinds of meditation, right? So the kind of meditation that I'm going to be sharing is a simple focus on the breath. So in this case, the object of attention is our breath. It's called shamatha. In other cases, you may use a sound or an object or a mantra that you repeat over and over. So many different forms of meditation. What I really like about this particular technique is that it is really simple, and the breath is always just a great place to start, because we all have our breath and it's always with us. And this is another one of those things where I love, by being consistent in a meditation practice, I do about between 10 and 20 minutes a day, usually more around 10 or 15, is that I start to notice that I come into my breath and just more naturally, right? So even if I'm like stressed, driving on a busy street and might feel stressed, I can find myself coming into my breath and using it to sort of calm myself, right? So that's just a wonderful thing. And the shamatha practice, again, based on a felt sense of breath, and we're going to learn how to do that. It's more than just thinking about our breath or noticing our breath, but actually feeling our breath. It is also known as a practice of tranquility or peacefully abiding. So isn't that just lovely? I think that we would all love to more peacefully abide in oneself, right? And so I just want to point out too that when we talk about the different meditation apps out there, there's a ton of great apps. I definitely recommend that you explore some of those as well. Today when we meditate, I'm going to show you the Insight Timer. That's the app that I use just for a basic timer. It does have many guided meditations. One of the things that's a little different between listening to a guided meditation on any of these apps versus what I'm teaching you here is that this is an actual meditation technique. And so what I would encourage you to sort of view it as kind of your foundational practice, and then use those apps when you feel particularly stressed, or if you are interested in a meditation along the lines of a certain kind of topic or issue or area. Not to say that those meditations are not good, because they are, but this is different in that, again, I will be showing you the technique here in a moment, but we're going to come into our posture, we're going to come into our practice, and I'm going to show you the technique, and then we're going to just simply do it together. So it's a little different than just simply sitting and listening to a meditation, if that makes sense. What is meditation not? Meditation is not religious. So anyone can breathe, it's not religious. And so that's sometimes I think people are like, oh, do I have to change my religion? Do I have to change my belief system? Absolutely not. This is a simple learning how to focus on our breath so that we can enhance our ability to stay in the present moment, stay grounded, right? And be more awake in our life. Main components are your body, right? So we're going to come into a very simple posture. Your breath, we're going to work on noticing how we can feel our breath. And then our mind, okay, we're going to work with our thoughts. One of the probably biggest misconceptions about meditation is that I have to stop thinking. I need to turn my brain off, right? And it's like, I can't settle myself because I'm always like thinking. Meditation is never about stopping yourself from thinking. It's never about turning your mind off. It's never about stopping your brain. It's never trying to control your thoughts. So we can all breathe a sigh of relief, right? But it is learning how to work with your thoughts, right? And in essence, it's developing a different relationship with your thoughts, right? So we can notice that they're there, but we don't have to attach to them. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole all the time, right? We don't, that constant ticker tape, right, of all of these things in our head all the time. We can choose not to attach, right? And so we are learning how to simply be okay, simply be in the moment without getting constantly pulled, right? Because we really, I think in many cases we can just feel like we're just, we're what we are thinking, right? So we are not our thoughts, even though it feels like that a lot of the time, right? Because, it's just so easy to get pulled in those directions. So meditation is really about training ourselves to, we can simply notice that we are having the thoughts, we can let go, and we come back to our object of attention, which in this case is our breath. So let's see here. Train our brain. Okay, I think what we're going to do is, I have this beautiful little sign that I made. So when we talk about actually some of the benefits, right? So being grounded, more calm, more, the peaceful abiding, right? More at ease, better able to handle life's challenges. That's like a great way to think about it too, for when you're trying to, kind of really like encapsulate what meditation can help us with. I mean, certainly, there's a ton of benefits. You can just simple Google search, and there's more research out there too. So I feel like it's an easier sell these days, right? What I'm intrinsically interested in though is helping students not only learn how to meditate, but actually do it on a regular basis every day, right? Because it's one thing to like think in our minds like, oh yeah, meditation is a good thing. It's another thing altogether to actually do a little bit every day, so that you actually might start to experience some benefits and then be able to make a choice of like, yes, this is a daily habit, a daily practice, a skill, a life skill that I want to cultivate in my life, right? So it's I have this bicep curl for our brains, right? So it's a workout for our minds, right? And so we wouldn't expect to like go to the gym for 2 days here and there and expect ourselves to feel fit, healthy, and strong, but rather it takes going to the gym on a consistent basis to actually start to feel some of those benefits, right? But here we have, when I first started my teacher training, what was really lovely, and I trained with Susan Piver, by the way, through the Open Heart Project, but she really framed our entire training through these 3 core concepts. And in a larger sense, like, yes, we're teaching ourselves how to focus, but in a larger sense, we are learning to, to step into understanding ourselves better, right? So developing more insight about ourselves and others. Okay, so having that openness of mind to, just become more intuitive about who we are and how we are, and developing that insight. Also compassion, right? A big part of meditation is learning to be gentle with ourselves, right? So I mentioned that we're never trying to control and push away our thoughts, but it's rather that we're learning to be gentle of, I'm having these thoughts, so what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the thoughts are. Right? And so when we train ourselves that way, we are developing greater gentleness and compassion with ourselves. And then we can start to have more compassion to others. Sometimes I think it's harder to have compassion for ourselves, actually, right? We beat ourselves up a lot of the time. And then courage, right? The more that we can sort of step into just knowing ourselves, we can further step into our own strength, our truth, and really the courage to just sort of be my language, right? Not sort of, but be who we are, right? And And these are kind of like what I like to kind of frame in a larger sense what meditation can potentially lead to. So let's come in, and I am going to teach you the technique. So here I'm seated on a chair. I'm going to take a drink of water. And so the first thing that we do is we come into mindfulness of body, and we just sort of dedicate, we dedicate this time to ourselves. This is our time to meditate. And so we come into our seat, we come into a posture. We can sit on the floor on a cushion. We can sit on a chair. If we do sit on a chair, you don't want to lean back on the chair, but rather just allow yourself to sit up straight. Have your feet flat on the floor, okay? And if you have any sort of issues that make it hard to stay seated, definitely feel free to lie down. And so we want to take a nice upward posture, top of our heads, reach up toward the sky. We're just simply letting everything else relax, right? Our shoulders relax, let our arms just come down. Hands can simply rest, palms down on our thighs, wherever they fall naturally. And I want to invite you to feel the strength of your back body, right? So the strength of our back body supporting us. We're feeling uplifted, but we're also feeling very grounded, right? So feel yourself rooted in your seat. Feel yourself heavy, whether it's seated on a cushion. Feel the weight on the chair. Your feet grounded on the floor. And just arrive. We're here. And because we have such strength in our back body, we can afford to have the front body very soft. So your belly, relax your belly, relax your chest, relax your throat, all of this, right? We just want to open and relax because our back body supports us. Top of the head reaches up, as I mentioned. At the same time, the chin can be slightly tucked. It keeps the back of the neck nice and long. Mouth is closed. Breath is natural, in and out of the nose. And this is an eyes open practice, which was something new for me. It's very interesting. So we are practicing being awake. We are practicing being more present. And in most cases, we do that in our life with our eyes open. So this is a practice of wakefulness, and we're going to take a soft gaze with our eyes cast down anywhere 4 to 6 feet in front of us, right? And so we just want to take in our whole field of vision. It's not that we're trying to intently stare at anything in particular, but rather just let whatever it is that you see come toward you. Relax your eyes back in their sockets. Relax your jaw. Your lips and your teeth can be slightly parted, and your tongue rests on the roof of the mouth. This helps to keep the whole jaw area relaxed. As I mentioned, there's no special breathing technique. So however it is that you're breathing, continue to do that. Just natural, ideally in and out of the nose. Of course, if you have a cold or allergies or anything, do what you need to do. But it's a very just simple breathing, nothing special. Soft gaze. And this is mindfulness of body. Very simple posture. We come into our posture, we take our seats, and then we come into mindfulness of breath. As I mentioned, it's more than just thinking about our breath or noticing our breath. Our breath is our object of attention. So we are going to allow ourselves to feel our breath. And so wherever that might be for you, so you might feel air coming in and out of your nose, rise and fall of your chest. I tend to feel my breath mostly in my belly, rise and fall of your belly. Start to allow yourself to anchor into your breath, right? Feel the inhale followed by the exhale, that very beautiful cycle of breath that continues. There's no effort involved. The breath comes in, the breath comes out. You notice a slight pause. It begins again. The breath is our anchor. We allow ourselves to simply feel our way into our breath. And when we do this, we just let everything else go. We let our breath carry us. Allow yourself to just ride the waves back and forth. Beautiful cycle. The inhale, followed by the exhale. The inhale begins again. Release on the exhale. Let yourself settle. Let yourself feel your breath. And that's mindfulness of breath. And the next step is mindfulness of mind. So we'll continue to have thoughts. As I mentioned, meditation is never about trying to stop ourselves from thinking or control our thoughts in any way, but rather now is our time to meditate. And so any of our thoughts, we just simply let them fade to the background, right? We simply let them fade to the background. There's no need to do anything about them right now. They are what they are. And we can probably, we know that they're there, right? But we're not tending to them in any sort of way because right now our focus is our breath. We're feeling our breath. And so our thoughts can just do what they may. And sometimes, though, we might get pulled in the direction of our thoughts or get absorbed in a line of thinking. Absolutely okay. At that point, that really is the practice right there. That point of awareness, noticing that you're thinking. Oh, I'm thinking. You can even say silently to yourself, oh, I'm thinking. Oh. When you notice that you're thinking, you simply just wake up and see it as a wonderful opportunity to simply choose to let go of the thought. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be happy, it can be sad, it can be worried, it can be mad, it can be any sort of thought. It doesn't matter what the content of the thought is. What matters is that you're noticing that you're thinking, you're waking up, and you're making that very deliberate choice, gentle but deliberate, of just let it go. You notice you're thinking, you let it go, and you come back to your breath. And you do this over and over and over again. And meditation is a practice because that's exactly what it is, right? We are practicing. So it doesn't matter if you have to keep doing this over and over and over again. The beauty is that you can have 1,000 unlimited fresh starts, right? You notice that you're thinking, you come back to your breath and take a fresh start. You notice that you're thinking, you let it go, you come back to your breath and take a fresh start over and over again. It's wonderful. It's quite wonderful. And so we are going to sit together for 1 minute. I'm going to use the Insight timer. So you'll hear a little bell. And we'll come in and we'll sit together. We simply let the technique go. And thank you for your practice. And thank you for practicing with me. And thank you for practicing with each other. Building community around this, again, in my view, a very profound practice that we can choose to explore for ourselves is probably one of the most significant things, right? Building community around this, supporting one another, encouraging one another, um, seeing what other people discover about themselves and others as part of this process. And so I will leave you with my key points of meditation really is just training our brains, right? We're training our brains like we work out at the gym. We're going to do a little workout for our minds. So that's all it is. It doesn't take a bunch of time. We just sat together and did a minute of meditation. That was awesome, right? Right there, significant. Doing a minute of meditation, we can all just sit down, come into a simple posture. We don't even really need anything, right? I mean, we can time ourselves if we choose to do that. Apps like the Insight Timer are kind of fun because it does, keep track. Right now I'm on day, let's see, I'm committed to doing a little bit of meditation every day this year. Thus, my website is called 365mindfuldays.com. But I'm on day 90. So, some days are easier and better than others, right? Some days I'm going to do even more than the typical 10 minutes that I do because I just feel like doing that. Other days, it's hard. And I might just sit down and bust through a minute and call it good, right? But a minute of meditation is better than no meditation, right? And it's the daily practice part of it, right? I think it's pretty easy for us to be like, yeah, this is probably going to be helpful. I need more focus in my life. I've got a lot of things to contend with. I'm dealing with a lot of stress, especially, now these days. And I can probably benefit from having a little more focus, a little more centering in my life, but it takes actual doing it to get those benefits, right? And it really, just starting here, again, we can look at the bigger picture and look at some of these other more profound potential outcomes. But if we just start here, right, let's just focus ourselves so that we can stay grounded in the present moment and be more awake and alert rather than just always in our heads, right? Worrying about this or regretting this or thinking I should have, coulda, shoulda, woulda, all those things, right? So I am just really excited to invite you to explore. And so welcome to day one together. I'm looking forward to practicing again with you tomorrow. So I hope that you're going to come back. All right. Thanks again. And thank you for practicing with me. Have a good day.